Hello and welcome to Indus News, live from Islamabad. I'm Naila Shaja and these are the headlines. Britain says it could be back in Afghanistan if the Taliban host Al-Qaeda or attack the West. Defense Minister Ben Wallace says Afghanistan is spiraling into a failed state and a civil war in which militant groups will thrive. His statement to the media comes as the Taliban captured 3 more provincial capitals, Lashkargah, Tirankot and Khalid. Indian forces have martyred 2 civilians in the occupied Kashmir's Kulgam district. The occupying forces blasted a building using chemical substances during a so-called operation in the Mir Bazar area. Several people were also wounded after Indian troops fired bullets and pellets on civilians protesting the brutal act. In Pakistan's South Waziristan district, the army has killed 1 terrorist and apprehended another in an intelligence-based operation. The military's media wing said soldier Naik Ziauddin was martyred during an exchange of fire in the Sara Roha area. The ISPR said the captured terrorist revealed the plan of a raid on the military post. Brazil has reported more than 1,100 daily deaths from COVID-19 and nearly 40,000 cases. In Pakistan, 79 people have died while over 4,600 tested positive in the past 24 hours. Globally, the death tally has exceeded 4.3 million with more than 205 million infections. For more news and details, stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. Britain says it could be back in Afghanistan if the Taliban host Al-Qaeda or attack the West. Defense Minister Ben Wallace says that Afghanistan is spiraling into a failed state and a civil war in which militant groups will thrive. The security situation in Afghanistan continues to get worse. Talking to the media, British Defense Minister Wallace said, "The West had to understand that it could not instantly fix countries such as Afghanistan, but should manage situations." His statement came as the Taliban captured 3 more provincial capitals, Lashkargah, Tirankot and Khalid. It comes the day the group seized the 2nd and 3rd largest cities of Herat and Kandahar. Faced with rapid military gains by the Taliban, the United States and the United Kingdom have ordered the evacuation of their nationals. Pentagon says that it will send about 3,000 extra troops within 48 hours to help evacuate embassy staff, while Britain said it would deploy approximately 600 troops to help its nationals and local translators get out. The UN Refugee Agency called on Afghanistan's neighbors to keep borders open as an inability to seek safety may risk innumerable civilian lives. The World Food Programme sees food shortages in Afghanistan as quite dear, saying the situation has all the hallmarks of a humanitarian catastrophe. Pakistan says it is deeply concerned at the lack of progress in the Afghan peace process. Foreign Office says Pakistan has facilitated the key milestones achieved in the process, including the U.S.-Taliban peace deal and the initiation of the intra-Afghan negotiations. A Foreign Office spokesperson said Pakistan attaches great importance to the Troika Plus mechanism. He expressed hope that Troika Plus meeting will facilitate resumption of the intra-Afghan talks. In a press briefing, Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry also highlighted India's atrocities in occupied Kashmir. He said India continues to deny access to human rights organizations to visit the valley despite its claims of normalcy there. For more on this, we are joined by Lieutenant General retired name Khalid Lodhi speaking to us from Islamabad. Mr. Lodhi, thank you so much for your time. Now, virtually every country, including Pakistan, have said that they will not support a government imposed through military force. If that is the case, what will these victories by the Taliban achieve?
Actually, what most of the world is saying, they are talking about the capture of Kabul, if I have, gathered properly, because as far as doing it with force is concerned, that is happening anyway. And let me say one thing, being a general and having some experience of fighting, this much of area in this small lapse of time cannot be captured militarily. Militarily, it is illogical. So actually, these victories, I would term them as political victories. They are talking to people. People probably were fed up from U.S. Occupation and the Afghan present government. They want to get rid of them, and they have actually welcomed Taliban. So it is all a political takeover, and if anybody takes it as a military takeover, I don't agree with it, because militarily it is just not possible. Even if you have 3 to 4 gunmen in any city, you will take a whole day to capture it. So if they are capturing town after town, city after city, it is with the connivance of the locals, with the support of the locals, and nothing else.
All right, General Lodhi, now the United Kingdom has said that today that it may send back the troops on the ground in Afghanistan if it had reason to believe that the Al-Qaeda will be returning. We have seen reports from the Pentagon already claiming that the Taliban are still connected to the Al-Qaeda. Are we looking at a reversal of the withdrawal?
Actually, if we look at the history and if we keep track of what Taliban had said in the past and whether they have adhered to whatever they say, I think they have come up to their commitments always. Even in this latest agreement with Americans, these are the Americans who violated the agreement, and Taliban have not yet abrogated the agreement or not even violated it. So if they are saying that we will not allow our soil to be used by any terrorist group against any country, then if I have to believe anyone, I will believe Taliban. So I think this is a misplaced perception by UK that Al-Qaeda is there or they have any connection. You know, keeping a connection, you cannot stop. But allowing them to be used against anyone, that they have, they have promised. So let us hope that they live up to their promises. They never promised that they will not have any contacts with anyone. If they later on make a coalition government and it becomes a free country, so they will have all the rights to have communication, connections with anyone they feel like. Yes, there should be no action from their soil, emanating from their soil, against any country. That they will ensure, in my assessment.
All right. Now, General Lodhi, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has not minced words, calling out Washington's change in South Asian partners. Do you believe that this situation in Afghanistan has the power to reshape geostrategic and international alliances?
Actually, we all know that, especially big powers, they always pursue their interests irrespective of whatever is happening on ground. So my own assessment is that because it is in the interest of America to keep Afghanistan in turmoil and to keep peace away from Afghanistan, so I don't think they will change their direction very soon or very clearly. My assessment is that they will keep pursuing even after complete takeover, even after a coalition government, even after a grand jirga, even after all the Afghan people, they rally around Afghan Taliban. America will keep its policy in the direction where China cannot come in this area, where China cannot invest, where there is no peace, and CPEC is affected, and BRI is affected, and Russians cannot go to warm waters. These are their enduring interests. So they will never give up, even if they say apparently under the tables they will keep on working against the peace of Afghanistan. I'm very sure about it.
All right, Lieutenant General named Khalid Lodhi, thank you so much for speaking to Indus News. In Pakistan's South Waziristan district, the army has killed one terrorist and apprehended another in an intelligence-based operation. The military's media wing said soldier Naik Ziauddin was martyred during an exchange of fire in the Sararoga area. The ISPR said the captured terrorist revealed the plan of a raid on the military post. In a statement, the ISPR added that the army is determined to eliminate the menace of terrorism. It said sacrifices of brave soldiers further strengthened the army's resolve. Indian forces have martyred 2 civilians in occupied Kashmir's Kulgam district. The occupying forces blasted a building using chemical substances during a so-called operation in the Mir Bazar area. Several people were also wounded after Indian troops fired bullets and pellets on civilians protesting the brutal act. Meanwhile, Indian authorities also booked one person under the Black Law Public Safety Act for shooting a video last month. In the footage, an elderly woman was seen being run over and killed by an army vehicle in Bandipur. The Arab coalition says it has destroyed an explosive laden drone launched by the Houthis towards southern Saudi Arabia. In a statement, the coalition said that the drone was aimed at Hamas Mushayid city. It said the Yemeni rebels deliberately and systematically targeted civilian infrastructure. The coalition said they are taking operational measures to foil the attacks on the civilian areas in the kingdom. Brazil has reported more than 1,100 daily deaths from COVID-19 and nearly 40,000 cases. Globally, the death tally has exceeded 4.3 million, with more than 205 million infections. More in this report. The Delta variant that first emerged in India continues to devastate the world. In its weekly update, the World Health Organization has warned that the Delta variant has the potential of increased risks for reinfections. The organization called on governments to cooperate for virus origin studies and to depoliticize the situation. Meanwhile, the United States has authorized booster doses of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines for people with compromised immune systems. Over in the south, Mexico posted a record number of overnight cases. In Australia, authorities are mulling to deploy more soldiers in Sydney to enforce lockdown rules after it reported record cases.
We had, unfortunately, 390 cases of community transmission. Some are still under investigation, but at least 60 of those have been infectious in the community. And I anticipate, given the large number of cases we've had in the last few days, that unfortunately this trend will continue for at least the next few days. So it means all of us have to work harder to make sure we stay at home and follow the rules.
The situation in Southeast Asia is turning bleaker by the day. Sri Lankan authorities renewed warnings to the government to impose a lockdown after authorities rejected the measure. The Philippines has extended a ban on travelers from India and 9 other countries over the Delta variant concerns. In Thailand, volunteer medics are signing up to save patients' lives as the country reports record cases.
When I signed up to be a volunteer, my job was to be a driver to bring infected patients to the hospital, but it has changed a lot. Now I have to perform first aid, provide oxygen, or even do CPR on people, so they can live for a bit longer to be able to make it to the hospital.
Vietnam's government is facing a tense situation over rising cases and a shortage of vaccines, as the country saw another day of near-record cases. In Pakistan, COVID-19 has claimed another 79 lives overnight. The health ministry says that the death toll has reached 24,266. The ministry said more than 4,600 people tested positive for the virus in the last 24 hours. The caseload is approaching 1,090,000, while over 979,000 have recovered. The ministry said there are more than 86,000 active cases. According to the NCOC, the positivity rate of infections has declined to 7.76%. Pakistan has administered more than 41 million doses of vaccine so far. It's now time for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. At least 6 people, including a child, have been killed in a mass shooting in the city of Plymouth in southwest England. Police believe the suspect shot himself as well, while the incident is not terror-related. Police described the shooting as a serious firearms incident. They said that the situation is contained and investigations are underway. In Lebanon, angry demonstrators have blocked roads across the country after the central bank effectively ended the subsidies on fuel. Police confronted the protesters who gathered near the house of the central bank's governor. Earlier, the government clashed with the central bank, saying that prices must not change and subsidies must continue. The petroleum importers demanded clarification with warnings of huge fuel shortages due to inadequate supply. The loss of fuel subsidies will open a new phase of the financial crisis that has sunk the value of Lebanon's currency by 90% since 2019. In China, at least 21 people have died and 4 are missing after heavy rains lashed central Hubei province. 5 cities in the province have declared rain red alerts. State media reported the torrential rain forced the evacuation of nearly 6,000 people in Suzhou City. It also damaged more than 2,700 houses and shops and disrupted power in Lulin Township. The Ministry of Emergency Management said rescue crews have been dispatched to the worst affected areas. Earlier, the torrential rains and floods had killed 302 people in the Henan province in July. In Turkey, the death toll from the severe floods and mudslides that struck Black Sea region has risen to 27. Authorities say one other person is reported missing. The Disaster and Emergency Management Presidency said that at least 15 died in Kastamonu. It said another 10 bodies were recovered in Kastamonu. The 2 victims were found in Sinop, while an elderly woman is missing in Bartın province. Many of the affected areas are left without power and village roads are blocked. Meanwhile, in Japan, almost 3 million people have been instructed to evacuate due to the heavy rains. The country's meteorological agency has issued heavy rain and mudslide warnings in Kyushu and Hiroshima. In Greece, firefighters continue to tackle blazes in the northern Eva Island, where over 50,000 hectares have been damaged. Nearly 700 Greek and foreign crew are also operating in the western Peloponnese Peninsula to control flare-ups there. More on this report. Wildfires are wreaking havoc across the globe, from Africa to the North Pole. In Greece, a forest fire on Evia has razed the land around villages, swallowing up pine trees and consuming scores of beehives. Meanwhile, massive blazes fueled by extreme heat waves and record droughts are burning in Russia's Siberia on a record scale. These are reported to be even larger than all others around the world combined. In Algeria, 22 people have been arrested, suspected to be behind the most devastating wildfires in the country's history, claiming at least 69 lives. President Abdulmajid Tebboune has called the fires a disaster and urged the preservation of national unity.
An enormous fire. In 1 minute it started to burn everywhere in all the villages of Kabyle region. The people of Algeria are alone. We have received nothing from the government except threats. People are acting together as one, and we have received aid from everywhere.
In Canada, wildfires have burned over 36,000 hectares of bush in the British Columbian region. Meanwhile, blazes in Bolivia have blackened more than 200,000 hectares in the agriculture area of Santa Cruz. Firefighters have been working for over 17 days to stop the fire from spreading to the dense forest areas.
It has been 17 days of work for the firefighters. In the province, 121,000 hectares have been affected, but 90% are pastures and the fires have not yet entered the dense forest areas. The work is to prevent the fire from advancing even more.
In Italy, multiple cities have released red alerts for high temperatures for consecutive days. At least 3 people have died in the country due to extensive wildfires raging in several southern regions. Climate change scientists consider methane to be a major driver of global warming. It is invisible and odorless, but its emissions are responsible for 30% of warming on a global scale since the pre-industrial era. This report has the details.
Methane is the main component of natural gas and is over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide in the first 20 years after emission. It is produced as a byproduct of the oil and gas industry. Methane is the major component of natural gas and, if captured, can be used as a fuel for power plants and domestic purposes. Its concentration in the atmosphere is currently increasing at a rate of around 1% per year. And experts say tackling methane emissions is the strongest lever they have to slow climate change over the next 25 years.
There is an industrial area here using a lot of methane. Why we have to put it in the sky and contribute to the destruction of our climate? So there must be more rational ways in year 2021 to use methane instead of venting in the atmosphere.
While governments around the world do not usually report leak rate figures, scientists can estimate the leak rate by looking at reported emissions and reported production. A Clean Air Task Force official says it took the images of more than 200 sites across Europe over 3 months. He said most of these sites have been leaking emissions in some way or another. And on the second visit to the same sites revealed the authorities did nothing to fix it and the leakage was still there.
Whether it's a leak or some sort of operational practice, most of these emissions can be reduced at negative or marginal costs to the company. For instance, when you look at the video of the rusted hole in the tank from Italy, you see that could have been detected with the leak detection and repair program. And then the company could have gone and fixed the tank.
Thanks to rapidly advancing technology, a growing fleet of satellites is now aiming to help close the valve on methane by identifying such leaks from space. Scientists from a European technology startup have been able to pinpoint the location, potency, and size of leaks around the world via satellite imagery.
In Brazil, Sao Paulo's tallest building, the Mirante do Vale, now features a glass door on its 42nd level. The lookout from the floor is putting the fear of heights to the test. Details in this report. One of the biggest cities in the world now boasts a bird-eye view of its Brazilian concrete jungle. Called the Sampa Sky, this dizzying lookout will open to the public on the 8th of August. But a selected few were treated to a special preview at the 170-meter-tall building.
I thought I wouldn't be scared, but when I stepped out, I was a little scared. Then I looked out to the city. This beautiful view on this beautiful day too. I think it's beautiful. I love it. It was something that was missing in Sao Paulo.
The entire city can be viewed from the Sampa Sky. One can also locate and see the main tourist landmarks from over there.
This is an incredible sensation. I am scared to death of heights, I must confess. But I worked through this fear, and after the first step, it was incredible. It is incredible to see the city from this height.
The Sampa Sky was inspired by Chicago's sky deck on the 103rd floor of the Willis Tower. European markets have cautiously risen as investors assess economic indicators and rising COVID-19 cases in the search for direction. Frankfurt's DAX led the gains, rising more than 0.5%. FTSE MIB in Italy advanced to close to 0.5%. London's FTSE and CAC 40 in Paris each added over 0.5%. The Pan-European Stock 600 also inched above the flat line. In cricket, Pakistan got all out at 217 runs on day one of the first test of two-match series against the West Indies. The hosts finished the day reeling at 2 runs for 2 wickets. They lost 2 early wickets, Kieran Powell and Nukhrama Bonner, before the light was called. Fawad Alam was Pakistan's top scorer with 56 runs in the rain-shortened first session of the play. Meanwhile, Jason Holder and Jayden Seals took 3 wickets each for the West Indies. The match will be resumed today at the Sabina Park in Jamaica. Rain is in the forecast throughout the first test. For more on this, we have with us Ali Mehdi, a sports analyst, speaking to us from Islamabad. Ali, thank you so much for speaking to Indus News. Now, Ali, Pakistan's batting failed to impress once again. What went wrong this time?
Well, it was really the conditions which were faced at Sabina Park in Kingston, Jamaica. After winning the toss, West Indies decided to bowl on a green wicket which had lateral movement, sideways movement, and overcast conditions. There was some stoppages in play due to the rain, because of the rain and overcast conditions. But other than that, I mean, it was very difficult for the Pakistanis to adjust. And the openers once again failed, just making 9 and 11 runs respectively. And the only decent scores which were put by Fawad Alam, Babar, and also Fahim Ashraf, who actually put some decent scores on the board. But overall, it was a difficult wicket to bat on. But Pakistan actually should have gotten about 250 to 300, which would have been a very respective and competitive total on the board.
All right. So Ali, is the pitch, how is the pitch playing? Would it get tougher to bat on it as the match progresses?
I actually think as the match progresses, the green tinge which is on the pitch will get slightly easier to bat on, because then the green tinge will come off and then it will get slightly flatter too after the heavy roller and will be put on the pitch. So it should get slightly easier to bat on. But at the same time, it also depends on the conditions too. Overcast, the weather conditions for the next few days, weather forecast suggests that there's still going to be a lot of rain in play, to which we will see a lot of swing, and it will be difficult for the batsmen to play. So I do think it will get slightly easier to bat. But then at the same time, you're going to have you're going to have conditions where rain is going to come into play. There are going to be stoppages, and then at the same time, too, there will still be some lateral movement, which will offer assistance to the bowlers.
Now, Ali, Mohammad Abbas is making a comeback, and he has already taken early wickets. Do you believe he should be tried in other formats as well?
Mohammad Abbas is. I believe he is a perfect bowler for Test cricket. I think Pakistan make sure that he remains in one format, and that is in Test cricket. I think he bowls at a very length. He's mastered the art of bowling with the red ball. So I feel that Test cricket is best suited for him. We need to keep him fit. He's a premier bowler for Test cricket. He should just remain for Test cricket, because in ODI and T20 cricket, you've got other bowlers who can actually come into the mix. So I actually feel that he should just stick to Test cricket, where he plays his best cricket and he can actually offer a great service to Pakistan.
Ali Mehdi, thank you so much for speaking to Indus News. And for the weather updates, we have Raja Sarosh.
Thank you. We're going to start with Abu Dhabi, where weather is expected to be extremely hot, with temperatures rising to 43 degrees centigrade. While in Amsterdam, temperatures are at 22 degrees centigrade with few clouds rolling in the sky. If we head to Ankara, there is a clear weather with temperatures at 29 degrees centigrade. Moving down under to Auckland, the temperatures are chilly at 15 degrees centigrade with layer of clouds covering the sky. Now, if you're traveling to Bangkok, there will be an expected thunderstorm with temperatures around 32 degrees centigrade. In Beijing, temperatures are at 29 degrees centigrade with clouds completely veiling the sun. While in Beirut, you will experience sunny weather with temperatures at 32 degrees centigrade. And Berliners will experience temperatures at 30 degrees centigrade under partly cloudy sky. Now heading to Cairo, the hot sun will be out with temperatures at 39 degrees centigrade. Down under in Canberra, the temperatures are at 16 degrees centigrade with cloudy sky. In Islamabad, temperatures are at 34 degrees centigrade accompanied by afternoon thunderstorm. And while in Jakarta, temperatures are steady at 32 degrees centigrade, also with thunderstorms in the forecast. That's all for now. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarosh. For the latest news updates, you can follow us on our social media at Indus.News.